Hello, everybody. Welcome to my second sharing circle. This is Empower Yourself with Self-Healing. My name's Jody. This is a sharing circle. I'm also calling it the Empower Hour because I'm hoping to empower you to step into the driver's seat of your healing journey. I'm going to be sharing my healing journey, but I'm a unique individual just like you are. So I hope that what I say, some of it will resonate with you and you'll be able to run with that. And what doesn't resonate with you, just let it go. There's so much available to us. And so my journey is unique, your journey is unique, but we also carry so many common threads. So I welcome you and I thank you for joining. Now, I want to start with a disclaimer. Because what I say here, what I'm going to share with you, is not meant to replace any medical advice. I am not a medical professional in any way. I've just been on a journey of healing, and I've had great success with my journey of healing. And so I'm wanting to share that with you. But again, this is your journey of healing. You need to step into your driver's seat and follow your own breadcrumbs. I hope that what I give you today will offer some nuggets of wisdom and you'll be able to run with some of it. Now today I want to talk about the power of food as medicine, the power of fasting, and the power of listening to your body. This is the second episode in this 5-week series. So if you haven't watched the first one, I invite you to go to my YouTube channel, Journey of the Lotus. And these meetings are being recorded. So last week I shared a little bit about my healing journey. And I went into the power of the mantra, love, peace, and harmony. So I invite you to go back to that and listen to what you may have missed last week. This week is about the power of food as medicine. This I'm sharing secondly because it has been such a game changer for me. So a little bit more of going deeper into my past, my struggle coming off of the psych meds. Coming off of 13 medications destroyed my digestive system. And so I had to learn about the power of food as medicine. I had a lot of symptoms going on, and one of them was vomiting. I couldn't stop vomiting. And so this is where I learned about the power of fasting. And also, very tied into this is listening to your body. So for me, major digestive issues coming off of the meds, I couldn't stop throwing up. So I couldn't eat, basically. And in the beginning, there's so many false and negative and just myths. There's so much myth out there about fasting. And so one of the first books I found about fasting is The Complete Guide to Fasting by Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist, and that fancy word means that he's a kidney specialist. So he works a lot with people with diabetes. So this was my first real introduction into fasting, and it was really because I was forced into this. I couldn't eat food. So I just want to share with you, there's a couple of myths about fasting. There's many myths about fasting, a few that I'm going to share from this book. The first myth is that fasting puts you in starvation mode. Not true. Fasting makes you burn muscle. Not true. Fasting causes low blood sugar. Not true. Fasting results in overeating. Not true. Fasting deprives the body of nutrients. Not true. It's just crazy. You know what? That's a little bit true, because it's not actually true, but our minds, we're so conditioned. We've been led to believe all of these things, and they're just not true. Is fasting a bit crazy? You know, in the beginning, I thought it was, because it was so new and so different and so outside of what I was taught was healthy. Because in our society, we're taught 3 square meals a day. This is what you need to do to be healthy. And then we're also encouraged to snack in between those meals. So we're very encouraged to eat, 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 eat. And you know what I've learned is that's just not healthy. It's not healthy for most of us. It certainly wasn't healthy for me. So back to listen to your body. And my disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. And another thing I want to share, I meant to say this in the beginning after the topic. This particular sharing circle is about the power of food and medicine, the power of fasting, and the power of listening to your body. What it's not is me telling you what you should and should not eat, when you should and should not eat, when you should and should not listen to your body. I'm just sharing what I've learned from experience. So again, if what I say resonates with you, go with that. If what I say doesn't resonate with you, let it go. So many myths about fasting in our society. They've all been proven to be wrong. Now, I'm not going to get into any of the science or any of that. If what I'm saying with you resonates with you and you're curious about fasting, this is an awesome book, Dr. Jason Fung. He's got lots of YouTube videos. I'm sure he has a website. And this is just one of the amazing books about fasting. So go to your search engine, search out fasting. I recommend you don't use Google because there's so much censorship on Google. We have a lot of other options. But, you know, if you choose to use Google, again, I'm not here to tell you what you should and should not do. I'm just here offering my story, my wisdom, my experience. So many myths about fasting. All of them have been proven untrue. Now I want to talk about the advantages of fasting. So many advantages. And one of them is that it improves mental clarity and concentration. It induces weight and body fat loss in a very healthy way. Lowers blood sugar levels. Improves insulin sensitivity. Increases energy. Improves fat burning. Lowers blood cholesterol. Prevents Alzheimer's disease. Extends life. Reverses the aging process. Decreases inflammation. And those are just a few. Now, specifically for my journey, it gave my digestive system a break because it was so stressed out. Another one I want to talk about here just briefly is this really fancy word called aptophagy, and that basically means cell death. And we want our cells to die. Our cells are constantly dying and being reborn, constantly dying and being reborn. And when they don't die when they're supposed to, it causes all sorts of issues. So aptophagy is the body's way of recycling. And again, I'm not a fasting expert. I'm paraphrasing this. This is coming from my heart. I'm not reading out of the book right now, so you're going to find more precise information in books and online than what I'm sharing here with you. The body's recycling system is so powerful. When the cells hang around too long, it causes all sorts of issues in the body. So another one of the powerful aspects of fasting is that it causes your body to recycle properly. And we want this to happen. It also helps with detoxing the system, removing toxins, and cleansing. So for me, I started fasting out of desperation, out of necessity, because I couldn't stop throwing up. And well, when you can't stop throwing up, I guess you should stop trying to put stuff in. And so I learned about this thing called the Master Cleanse. And this is for weight loss mostly, but I didn't use it for that purpose. I used it to give my body hydration and some nutrients while I was giving my digestive system a break. And the Master Cleanse, basically lemon water. It's got some honey in it. Lemons are highly nutritious. They have a lot of nutrients, a lot of minerals, and a huge amount of vitamin C. The honey adds some calories. And then for a proper Master Cleanse, which is geared for weight loss, you want to add cayenne pepper. I wasn't using it for that purpose, and I didn't want to irritate my digestive system more, so I left out the cayenne pepper. So what I did was I squeezed some fresh lemon. You always want to use fresh lemon. You don't want to use bottled lemon of any sort. Anything that comes in a bottle, you want to use the actual fruit. And some honey. And I would sip on that. And in the beginning, you know, when I was really, really, really sick with this whole thing, I would have to go like 4 or 5 days without eating food. And I hadn't quite learned the power of fasting yet. So I was still convinced that I need to put nutrients in my body. I needed to put calories in to stay alive, to stay healthy. I've since learned that that's not true. And so this complete guide to fasting, after I got this book, it taught me the different kinds of fasting. And we're all very familiar with the fast, the long fast, which is where you don't eat food for an extended period of time. And this can be a couple of days, a couple of weeks. The longest fast on record is 385 days. Yeah, no food for 385 days. Look it up in the Guinness Book of World Records. I was shocked because we're taught in our society that we need to eat food to stay alive. So this particular person was obese. He was extremely overweight, so he had a lot of body fat to live off of. Now, a person of my size wouldn't be able to survive 385 days without eating. Because when you fast, see, your body still needs to consume something. And we create body fat. Our bodies are really brilliant. When we have an excess amount of calories, we create fat. And this is because back in the day, we were hunter-gatherers and we didn't have food constantly available to us like we do now. So we would eat more than we needed. Our body would store that excess calories as fat. And then when there was a food shortage, usually in the winter, our bodies would live off of the fat. And all of the nutrients that we need from the food that we ate is in that fat. Super fascinating. I love this stuff. Right, back to the 385 days. I'm not recommending anybody go 385 days without eating food. Nowadays, I don't do the long fasts anymore. I'm an intermittent faster. And this book that I got, The Complete Guide to Fasting by Dr. Jason Fung, taught me the different types of fasting. And there's this really cool thing called intermittent fasting. And a lot of people have heard about this new diet craze called skip breakfast. And what they're talking about is intermittent fasting. But it's not a diet craze, and it's not skipping breakfast. Because breakfast is the first meal of your day. You're breaking your fast. Ideally, when you're sleeping, you're not eating. And when you're not eating, it's called fasting. So we naturally fast every time we go to sleep. So breakfast is literally when we break the fast. And I usually eat breakfast between 12 noon and 3 p.m. Listening to my body, if I'm hungry before that, I'll eat before that. If I'm not hungry, I don't eat. And so another one of the really cool things about fasting is it really taught me how to tune in deeper and really listen to what my body needs. I learned so much about how our minds control what we eat and when we eat it. So a lot of us eat because we're bored. A lot of us eat because we're thirsty. A lot of us eat because we have a craving for sugar. And so one of the beautiful things that fasting gave to me is just really tuning in, learning how to listen to my body. Am I actually hungry right now? Does my body, and by hungry I mean, does my body need nutrients? This is like real hunger. Does my body need nutrients? Not, am I bored? Am I craving sugar? A lot of us emotionally eat. So if I'm stressed out or angry or sad or worried, a lot of people eat when that happens. So fasting really taught me how to tune in and listen to my body. I think that's what I want to share about fasting for now. Food as medicine. So, and listening to your body. Again, it's so powerful. We are all our own best teachers. Our bodies know what to do. We have this beautiful thing called intuition. Quite often, and certainly in our culture and our society, our minds are overactive. Our minds are louder. The sound of the mind is louder than the sound of the intuition. So most of us listen to our mind. Tuning in and learning how to listen to your body, learning to listen to that gut instinct. It's a quieter voice. So another book that really helped me, because I was going through digestive issues, there's this really great book. This is the second edition, Breaking the Vicious Cycle, Intestinal Health Through Diet. And it's by Elaine Gottschall. This book became my Bible. So when I was able to eat, I used the wisdom in this book to show me how to eat, when to eat, what to eat, and how the food that I was eating was affecting my digestive system. Now this book is more geared for Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, celiac disease, cystic fibrosis. But all of the symptoms of those diseases were very much mimicked by my drug withdrawal, my psychiatric drug withdrawal. It just like everything shut down. So I found the wisdom in this book to be incredibly helpful. Now, I also, and this is all about listening to your body as well, I had to create a list of foods that were making my body scream at me. And it started off with just one or two things I would notice. I wish I had kept that list. I wish I had documented my journey a lot more, because the wisdom in those notes would have been profound, but I'm really just going by my memory. I started with a list, one or two things, and then I would listen to my body and write that down, and then write that down. And before I knew it, I had a whole page of stuff that every time I ate it, my body would scream at me. Whether it was a tummy upset, or increased inflammation, or a headache, or a rash, many symptoms that we normally put up with are actually caused by food sensitivities. And so during my drug withdrawal phase, I became sensitive to everything, and I developed a corn allergy. Now there's a sensitivity and then there's an allergy. And it's really just a spectrum. Everything's a spectrum in my viewpoint. So a sensitivity, I see it as like a mild sort of reaction. But the corn allergy that I developed was hives. And so I'm classifying that as an allergy as opposed to just a sensitivity. Every time I ate corn, I broke out in hives. And I became so sensitive that one day I ate a piece of garlic sausage and I broke out in hives. I looked at the ingredients and it had corn syrup in it. That's how sensitive my body became. So I went back to the master cleanse. I would drink lemon water to give my body a break and allow it to heal. And looking back on it, a lot of this was intuitive. So, and what I know now is when you're curious, things come to you. When you're curious, you look for things. And when you look for things, you find them. So I invite you to get curious about this. Things will start coming to you. And the more you learn, the more doors will open and the more things that will come to you. So food as medicine. This is also where I started learning about Ayurveda. Ayurvedic medicine is the ancient Indian medicine, over 5,000 years old. It's still used today in India, and it's been brought to the West. And a huge philosophy of Ayurvedic medicine is diet and nutrition. And when I say diet, I don't mean a diet, I mean the diet. Our diet is what we put in our body. And it's actually, this is just a little segue because this is going to be on another topic later on. Diet actually includes everything we put in our mouth, everything we see with our eyes, everything we hear with our ears. It's everything that we put in our body. Going on a diet is different. Going on a diet means that you, for a short period of time, change what you put in. And the problem with this, one of the biggest problems, is it's temporary. So yes, you may gain what you wanted to gain out of it, whether that's weight loss or cleanse or whatever you wanted to gain from your diet. It's temporary. You're going to go back to your normal way of eating, and guess what? Everything's going to come back. So when you change your diet, you want to do it slowly and consistently, and for long, like the long haul. This is a lifestyle change. Food as medicine is a philosophy and it's a lifestyle. It's not a fad. It's not a diet. So Hippocrates said many, 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 many years ago, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. What a powerful statement. Unfortunately, most people didn't listen. Unfortunately, most doctors know nothing about nutrition. So when I was going through all of my digestive upset, I ended up seeing a stomach specialist. Of all of the questions that he asked me, he did not ask me what I was putting into my body. He had no desire to know what I was eating that was causing my stomach to be so upset. And that is shocking to me. Because what I've learned over the years is that food is one of our most powerful tools. If we want to change something in our physical body, food is one of the most powerful medicines we can use. So, breaking down food as fuel, there's a lot of different misconceptions. There's a lot of different there's straight up lies out there about food. There's a lot of documentaries that will teach you about food. I've watched almost every documentary there is on Netflix about food. There's a lot on YouTube. There's really information everywhere. So food can be broken up into 3 areas. These calories that we're aware of, food is calories. We have macronutrients and micronutrients. The macronutrients are protein, fat, and carbohydrates. These are the 3 categories. Everything can either be put in with food, with protein, carbohydrates, or fat. Those are macronutrients. And then there's also the micronutrients, and these are all of the vitamins and the minerals. So it's really that simple. That's the simplicity of it. Now we can break it down a little bit further, and again, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just speaking from my heart. Protein. A lot of people believe that protein is animal flesh. It's not. That's one of the forms of protein. Protein is actually a chain of amino acids. And there's 22 amino acids. 9 of them are essential. And what does that mean? Essential means that your body doesn't make them on its own. Our body is so amazing. It recycles things and it makes things out of other things. And one of the beauties of this is we eat all of this food, and our body breaks it all down in our digestive system, and it creates nutrients and proteins and chains of fatty acids. And that's what proteins are, chains of fatty acid. So I believe there's 13 that are created by our body all by itself. We eat the food and our body mixes stuff around and creates these fatty acids. 9 of these are essential. Our body doesn't create them, so we have to eat them through our food. And there's a lot of food that is what we know as a complete protein, and that means that it has all of those 9 essential amino acids in it. Now, this is where animal protein comes in. Most animal protein, actually I think now that I say that, all animal protein has all of those 9 essential amino acids. Whereas plant-based protein, a lot of it has all 9 essential amino acids, and then a lot of it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that it does not still have a lot of these 9 essential amino acids. So when we mix our food up, when we eat a wide variety of plants, we'll say, we get all of those 9 essential amino acids. So I'm not telling you what to eat or what not to eat. Should you eat meat? Should you not eat meat? Listen to your body, do some experiments, see how you feel. There's this really new philosophy, new to me anyway, maybe it's been around for eons and I hadn't heard about it, called the caveman diet. And this is where you eat only animal flesh. And a lot of people, I actually know somebody who's been on this diet for 3 years. A lot of people say that it is awesome. Would it work for me? No. Would it work for you? I don't know. Do you know? Have you tried it? Give it a try. If that philosophy resonates with you, give it a try. I had to stop studying nutrition. When I was really sick, I became an expert on nutrition because I was forced into it. And after about 4 years, I became so fascinated with nutrition. After about 4 years, I had to stop. My head was spinning because there's so many different opinions in the nutrition field. A lot of doctors, a lot of specialists, a lot of nutritionists, and they're all arguing amongst themselves. A lot of them believe that we should eat meat. A lot of them believe we shouldn't eat meat. A lot of them believe we should eat dairy. A lot of them believe we shouldn't eat dairy. A lot of them believe we should eat more fat. A lot of them believe we shouldn't eat more fat. A lot of experts who have a lot of evidence, and they even have a lot of patients following their recommendations that are having amazing results. Are they all right? No, they can't be all right because they're arguing amongst themselves. So what I learned to do is I would do the research, I would check in with my intuition, and if it sounded like something that was feasible, I would do an experiment with my body. And so this is how I've honed in the diet that I eat today, by listening to my body, by writing out food journals, and really going deep and listening and experimenting and seeing what's going to work for me. Because just because 100,000 people can't eat dairy doesn't mean that I shouldn't eat dairy. Well, you know what? It turns out that I shouldn't eat dairy. My body screams at me every time I eat dairy, so I don't eat dairy. This is me. You have your own unique body, your own unique journey. There's many signs and symptoms of food intolerances. And because drug withdrawal completely destroyed my digestive system, I had all of them. And so I started my list. Every time my body would scream at me, I would think, what did I eat? And I would write that down. And I stopped eating that food. Now it got to the point where I had like a very narrow window of what I could eat. And a lot of people are in this window and they're frustrated because they can't eat anything. And I totally understand that. But it's important that we not focus on what we can't do. We need to keep focusing on what we can do. That's where the power is. So I had maybe a handful of foods that my body was tolerating. And this is where smoothies rescued me. Mostly I could eat some fruit and nuts. That was it for a long time. So, smoothies. I ground up these fruit and nuts and I would drink it. Smoothies are so powerful. You can put anything in a smoothie. If you have a high-powered blender, you can put anything in there. Smoothies are kind of pre-digested because the first part of our digestion is our mouth. We chew the food. We chew the food and it allows our body to break down the food more easily. So smoothies are already pre-ground. So your body has to work less to digest, to absorb the nutrients in there. I think I drank smoothies for about 2 years. And slowly, as my digestive issues started healing, I started increasing the types of food. I would add in a new food and wait a few days and see what happens. And if nothing happened, I would think, okay, so I can eat that food again, and I would put that in. And so it's really all about listening to our bodies. We have to kind of become experts in how our bodies work and what our bodies need in order to heal. We are our own best advice givers. We actually have, a lot of people say we have all of the answers deep within us. I'm going to say we have most of them. Because I say that because all of the books that I've read, all of the knowledge that I've gained, it actually didn't come from within me. I had to learn that in a book. But I think where that comes from is So I would read these things, and some things I read and I'm just like, that does not resonate with me at all. Other things it does resonate with me. And so the way I kind of see that is like it resonates with me because somewhere deep inside I already knew that as truth. So yes, all of our answers are within, most of them, all of them, however you want to look at that. But we have to be reminded because we've been so conditioned to believe a certain way. So listening to your body. How does your body feel after you eat food? This is something that I believe we should all be looking at. There are lists of symptoms out there that you can look at, and if you match any of those symptoms, I recommend that you take a look at what you're eating to cause those symptoms. One of the things that I learned when I was going through my drug withdrawal process is that I had a gluten sensitivity. And this is a bit of a hot topic these days. When I was still visiting a doctor on a regular basis, I told him my symptoms, asked him to give me a celiac test. The test came back negative. He assured me that I didn't have a gluten sensitivity. Yet, I fit 9 out of the 10 symptoms for a gluten sensitivity. So following my own intuition, I didn't listen to what he said. I was listening to my body. Because my body doesn't lie. My body doesn't have misunderstandings. My body knows what it needs to be happy and healthy. So I did the elimination diet anyway for gluten. I removed all wheat, all barley, and all rye. Guess what? Miraculous improvement in all of the symptoms that I was displaying at the time. So that told me that even though the doctor's test didn't show a gluten sensitivity, my body was reacting to it. And so for 3 years, I didn't eat any gluten. And I believe that that is one of the things that really helped my digestive system to heal. Because if you keep putting an offensive substance in, your body's going to continue to be offended. And this is actually true for many things. If we continue to breathe polluted air, our body's going to be offended. If we continue to put polluted things on our body, our skin could be offended. I'll just do another little segue because I just said that. A lot of the cosmetics that we use, our toiletries, our bathroom products, are full of toxins. So when I cleaned up my diet, I also had to clean up what I put on my skin. Everything that you put on your skin gets absorbed into your body. So I noticed all of these things as I started learning how to listen to my body and tuning in, recognizing all of these signs and symptoms. When I was using a lot of my toiletries, I was breaking out in rashes, having dry skin, having tight skin. So this was another way that I learned how to listen to my body. And this is just paying attention, checking in. If something's not going well, just get quiet and check in. Quite often your body will let you know. So some of my teachers on this topic, Dr. Greger, I think his name's Dr. Michael Greger, from nutritionfacts.org, he was one of my early heroes. He's got such a quirky personality. He has a lot of videos on his website, nutritionfacts.org. He's got a lot of videos on YouTube as well. And he's a fact checker. He checks facts. He's not sharing his opinion. He's just checking, or he's checking like scientific facts. They've been doing studies on food in labs for decades. And all of these studies are in peer-reviewed journals, medical journals. But if you've ever tried to read a peer-reviewed medical journal, you kind of need a medical degree to understand what the heck they're talking about. So what Dr. Greger does is he reads these studies for us, and then he puts it out into layman's terms so that we can understand what he's talking about. So there's lots of facts about nutrition. There's also lots of myths. We've all been conditioned by our society, by big food, by the companies that make the food, who want us to eat their food because they get money. Every time we eat their food, it's a for-profit industry. And so there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of straight up lies about the food that we eat. So I really like nutritionfacts.org because Dr. Greger isn't sharing his opinion. He's just sharing facts. Another one of my teachers was the Food Revolution Network. And this is Ocean and John Robbins. And they do summits. They've got YouTube videos, they've got a website, tons and tons of information, a lot of facts, and some opinion. I've been following them for years, and I've found their information to be incredibly helpful to me. And then Ayurvedic medicine. They are very diet orientated. It's not the only thing that they use as medicine. There's also a lot of herbs, but herbs are food. Herbs are plants. So food as medicine, it's so powerful. What we put into our bodies and when we put it into our bodies. What we choose not to put in our bodies and when we choose to eat. These are all very, very powerful tools that I've learned to put in my tool belt. Intermittent fasting, let's go back there. Intermittent fasting is a window where you do eat food. And there are many, many different types of intermittent fasting, many ratios. There's a feeding window and a fasting window. So I eat a lot of food in a short period of time. Over a couple of hours in a day, I'll either eat 3 meals or 2 meals or 1 meal, depending on how I feel. I've been doing this for 3 years now, so I've gotten pretty good at listening to my body and understanding the different cues and letting go of what my mind thinks and following what my body says. What works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. I've stepped into the driver's seat of my healing journey, and this series is inviting you to step into the driver's seat of your healing journey. There's so much information out there. A lot of it is true, and a lot of it isn't. We have to always be aware. This is one of the things that I learned through watching documentaries. Food is a for-profit industry. People, companies, they make food. They want us to buy the food because that's how they make money. There's a lot of people out there with really high integrity, and they're doing really good work in this world, and they're using their gifts and their knowledge and their talents for the greater good. And then there's others who are not. So reading food labels is so important. And what I mean by that is not only the label on the front, but the label on the back. Read the ingredients before you put anything in your body. A lot of documentaries on Netflix will teach you more about how to do this. Will teach you more about the specifics of it, and will actually even call out a lot of the companies that are lying to us. A lot of what we know as health food is actually really unhealthy for us. And when you learn how to read food labels, it's right there, literally in black and white in front of you. Now, something to keep in mind, to understand and to know, and again, documentaries on Netflix are so valuable. I'll try and name a couple of them off the top of my head. Food Matters, Food Revolution, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives. If you've got Netflix, just go into the search and search up food documentaries. Now here's another disclaimer. Be careful. Knowledge is power. Knowledge will set you free, but quite often first it will piss you off. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people that are just straight up lying to us. And when I started learning all of this stuff about food, I was mad. So warning, what you learn may be a bit upsetting because we've been lied to for so long. So there's many books out there. I read this really great book. I wish I still had it. I wish that I remembered the name of it. It was red and it was written in 1945. And I read this book and it really felt so new. It felt so relevant to today's time, and this was about 10 years ago when I read it. And then I looked at the second page there where it tells you the copyright date of the information. 1945. It was written by a doctor who had some sort of, I think it was just a general practice. And he started learning that the way he was taught to do things in medical school wasn't necessarily helping his patients, and he started learning about food and the power of food as medicine, and he wrote this book. And so this information's been around for a long time, the power of food as medicine. Will you hear about it on your TV? No. Will you hear about it in the newspaper? No. Does your doctor likely know about it? No. We have to become our own detectives. We have to become our own advocates. We really have to step into the driver's seat of our own healing journey. Now, back to my first disclaimer about medical advice. Doctors are a wealth of information. A lot of the newer doctors are being taught a little bit about nutrition. A lot of the doctors that I follow are medical doctors, and they have gone off after medical school to learn more about nutrition. And I believe Dr. Greger is one of these. Another one is Dr. Mark Hyman. He has a website as well. Dr. Zach Bush. He's really into food and soil health as it relates to not only our health, but our environmental health as well. Because food is very connected to environment. Our health is very connected to the health of our environment. Who else do I have on my list? Tony Robbins. He's not a doctor, but he is a wealth of information about how to actually look after our bodies. And so I just did a Tony Robbins retreat a couple of weekends ago. And when I was going through my drug withdrawal, I learned about lemon water. And at the time I started drinking hot lemon water. And I was doing that every day. And a couple of weeks ago when I did the Tony Robbins retreat, I had been drinking hot lemon water every day for 3 years. It was so powerful. It's got so many health benefits, so many cleansing benefits. I thought nothing would get me to stop drinking hot lemon water. And then in walks Tony Robbins. And one of the keynote speakers was a man named Anthony Williams. He's also known as the medical medium. And he's another wealth of information. And what he taught me is that hot lemon water is great for some things, but if you want to really cleanse your body and detox your liver, you want to drink lukewarm lemon water. Not cold, but room temperature. Not hot, because hot kills the enzymes in the lemons that are incredibly beneficial to cleanse our liver. So I went from drinking hot lemon water every morning to 16 ounces, at least 16 ounces of regular lemon water. By regular lemon water, I mean room temperature lemon water. And I'll show you here. This is my bottle of lemon water. This has got over 20 ounces in it, and I'm on my third one. Where I am in the world, it's 1:53 p.m. I haven't had breakfast yet. I've just been plugging in a lot of lemon water. And one of the actual benefits that I've noticed personally with my switch to lemon water instead of hot lemon water is in the morning, I'm less groggy. And this has been really profound for me. And I just did an Ayurvedic spring reset cleanse. And one of the things that that woman taught me, I can't remember her name, she's an Ayurvedic doctor, is that when the liver gets bogged down with toxins, it causes morning lethargy. And I've always had a problem with mornings. Mornings are not my favorite time of day. It takes me a long time to wake up. It takes my body a long time to wake up. It takes my mind a long time to wake up. It was taking a long time to get out of bed. And in the 3 weeks, maybe a month that I've been drinking this different form of lemon water, mornings are easier for me. And so that's a real validating for me that this information is not only true for others, but it's really true for me. And I really believe that that's the big test. I learn information, I think about it, I process it with my intuition, and then I do a test. So I've done the test with this new lemon water form with great results. So I invite you to start doing your own tests. And this is where I'm going to wrap up this session. Listen to your body. Go out and learn as much as you can about nutrition, and then listen to your body. Check in with yourself as you're reading or as you're listening, and ask yourself, does this resonate with me? If it doesn't, let it go. If it does, I invite you to do a test on your body. Try out the thing that you're learning about and wait and see. How long do you have to wait? Usually the effects are almost immediate. It takes a few hours for our body to digest the food. So within a few hours you're going to feel, see, or notice something. Sometimes it takes a couple of days. So back in the day when I was doing my food journaling, I would wait 3 days before I did something new or tried something different. So I learn the information, I let it sit, and then I do the test. Where are my notes? So that was food as medicine, the power of food as medicine, the power of fasting, and the power of listening to your body. I thank you so much for joining week 2 in Empower Yourself with Self-Healing. This is the Empower Hour, inviting you to step into the driver's seat of your healing journey. My name's Jody, and I thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you well on your journey. If you have any questions, I invite you to reach out to me. Take care. Bye-bye.